So as you can see, the Malaysian privatization policy was founded by the government in 1983, and it is basically founded to support the policies such as Malaysia's industrial policy. Basically, this privatization policy emphasizes the role of the private sector in economic development, and it also it basically reflects the government's intention to reduce its involvement in the economy and reduce the scope and level of public spending. Besides that, privatization is basically defined as the transfer of all activities and functions which traditionally is the responsibility of the government to the private sector, based on the market powers against the derivative in a directive in influencing economic activity to increase efficiency. So basically, this privatization policy is also to create a high demand for management expertise and also and entrepreneurial. And this privatization policy also provides a unique opportunity to nurture and grow indigenous businesses. Moving on now to the benefits of privatization. So privatization has many benefits, mainly to achieve remarkable success in improving efficiency and economic growth, and also basically gets Bumiputra people involved in businesses and getting involved in their company and so on and so forth. As you can see here, one of the minor benefits is that it gets better opportunities for career enhancement, and also gives opportunity to own a share of the organization, becomes more efficient, and you can earn additional revenue to pay for government spending. Moving on now to the objectives of privatization. So basically, the objective of privatization is to reduce the financial and administrative burden of the government, to increase competition, improve efficiency and productivity, accelerating economic growth through increased private sector role, and also to reduce or shrink the size and presence of the public sector and the national economy. And finally, expanding economic opportunities for indigenous selection meeting targets as contained in the new economic policy.
Good day to all. My name is Ahren, and I'll be continuing with the policy analysis metrics. Now, there's three main related factors here, which are the objectives, approach, as well as the issues in implementation. Now, I'll start off with the objectives. The objective is to achieve national economic policy target. It is also to increase the efficiency and to improve the productivity. And as we all know, it is definitely to increase the economic growth. As to the approach, it is actually the responsibility of the private sectors in the economy, as well as with the higher profit margins being obtained by the private companies, the development plans made by the government would be executed easily with the availability of these extra revenues. Thus, new projects are being privatized. Government decides to participate actively in private sectors. The ownership pattern of the economy is being restructured and reorganized. More Bumiputras are actually encouraged to take part in private projects. Now, with the sale of equity, assets, personnel, and management responsibility are a few of the aspects which impacts the organization. Sale of equity also practiced by the government companies. For example, Telekom Malaysia as well as Tenaga Nasional Berhad. Sale of assets. This approach benefits any type of company and entity. For example, Shell, San Miguel as well as Bumijaya Sdn Berhad. Lease of asset basically means loaning out assets to a certain party, given the right to use those assets for a certain period of time for a certain agreed fee. And last but not least, management contract. A transfer of management responsibilities from government entities to private firm. For instance, the solid waste management was handed over to Alam Flora Sdn Berhad, SWM Environmental Sdn Berhad, and Environment Idaman Sdn Berhad. The issues in implementation of this scheme is basically the lack of knowledge on asset and equity valuation, foreign participation in privatization of specific public enterprises, capital market being an issue, participation of Bumiputras directly and indirectly, amendments of appropriate regulatory framework, as well as the changes in existing laws.
A very good day to everyone. My name is Kishanvarma, and I will be talking about the stakeholder analysis today. So, the key and major stakeholder of a privatized organization in Malaysia will of course be the government of Malaysia. This is because they will act as the principal agent in the privatization. They will be the one who will be providing the regulatory framework needed to run the organization and hence govern and monitor everything goes well after the privatization process. Even though through privatization policy we are trying to reduce the government involvement in this, the government still plays a vital role in it. They are there to analyze the fiscal impact that it brings. The government also interested to monitor the social and political impacts that rise upon this process taking place. They will also ensure that all these impacts don't bring a negative effect to the country and the people in it, of course. So, the main rule they come up with is they are also ensuring that after privatization, a minimum of 30% of their stakes of a particular privatized company goes to the Bumiputra of Malaysia. They have also come up with another rule saying that only a maximum of 25% of the stakes of the company is allowed to be held by foreigners. This is to ensure that the nation does not lose so much by privatizing a company in the name of wanting to enhance and empower the nation's economy. So, moving on, the next stakeholders are from the private entities, such as bureaucrats, people from the private sector, new owners, and also the creditor. These stakeholders are very, very important to the Malaysian economy. These stakeholders are one of the main reasons why privatization happens, which is to boost the company in the sense of capital, experience, and restructuring to happen. These people are the pioneers who can lead the Malaysian economic growth to greater heights. It may not be the best in terms of benefits like job security or health and childcare, but what it does is that it comes up with labor strategies that secures the support of employees and it provides adequate social provision. Thus, they will be the ones handling the organization, making it grow and a sustainable one in the near future. And now, lastly, the stakeholders of the final one is the general public. The general public could be employees, workers, labor unions, managers, and also casual workers. These people play a major role in the privatization policy as well, as they will be holding quite a number of stakes in the privatized company. This is to allow the general public to also be part of these organizations. It is also a move to reduce direct and active participation of the government in the company. So, general people are given the chance to be stakeholders in the company, hence be part of running it towards betterment. It's also to give some insights of managing something towards greatness in this developing country, which could be key to enhancing the nation's economy. This can also reduce corruption and yield better service. So, with that being said, the three main stakeholders are of what I've just mentioned, and they play a vital role in enhancing the Malaysian economy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Neruban and I'm going to talk about the pest analysis. Pest analysis is divided into four parts which are political, economics, social, and technology. Starting off with the political factor, the May 1969 elections. This particular election has resulted in race riots within the UMNO itself, which resulted in major changes needed to be made. The new nation leader back then, Tun Abdul Razak, announced the new economic policy, also known as the NEP, committed to unite the people in the country by reducing poverty and achieving inter-ethnic economic equality. Next is the NEP, where the Malay elite dominate Malaysian government's NEP. Apparently was to achieve the unity among people to reduce poverty in inter-ethnic economic disparities, followed by the State Economic Development Corporations, also known as the SEDCS. Most Malaysian state government began starting up the state economic developments in the mid-60s to actually increase the flexibility of the state government in taking their own initiatives. The second factor is the economics, where the Employees Provident Fund (EPF) was set up as a part of the labour reforms of in the early 50s. Malaysia, having a status as a net petroleum exporter, enabled to increase the public spending without any significant increase in foreign borrowing. Next is the Outline Perspective Plan, also known as the OPP. The Prime Minister Tun Mahathir declared the Vision 2020 on the basis of a liberal economic program including privatization. Followed by the next point is the Guideline for Privatization, where it was actually announced to put out the official rational and wide guideline for Malaysian privatization. That's all from me. Thank you.
Now, moving on with the pest analysis. The first tool is the social tool. There are three areas covered. The first area would be health support services. The objective was to improve financial efficiency within the health sector. First, it decided to concrete on its core health services and privatize different activities in the health sector. Second, the authorities became convinced that it would retain preserving its dedication to civil servants and the deprived. They later implied that the private sector was endorsed to offer fitness care to cater to folks who may want to come up with the money for extra costly fitness care and clinical remedy. The next area would be public service. It, the government will offer help to projects which have social implications and require big capital expenditure to help reduce tariffs and different expenses to consumers. Further efforts can also be undertaken to reinforce the regulatory framework to safeguard purchases pastimes and display the overall performance of privatized entities. Moving on to the next area, which is transportation and traveling. The public also benefited through the supply of greater efficient and wider coverage of services. The creation of rail services together with Kereta Api Tanah Melayu Berhad KTMB commuter services, light rail transit system LRT and LRT system 2 LRT Putra supplied a fast and green opportunity to travel around the Klang Valley. The production of the privatized toll highways also changed the travelling pattern of avenue users as they benefited from reduced travelling time and decrease of operating expenses. Next, the next tool would be technology, which covers two areas. The first area would be technology development. Privatized tasks, especially the ones carried out underneath the Build, Operate, Transfer (BOT) and Build, Operate, Own, which is BOO strategies, adopted modern-day technology and enabled to transfer of development and control of a modern included hazardous waste treatment facility. The final area would be electricity and gas sector. During the planned length, financial savings in capital expenditure to the government amounted to 49.3 billion, of which 47.6% of the whole savings was from the energy and gas sector. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sanjeev and I'll be doing the conclusion for our topic. So to conclude this topic, the Malaysian privatization policy plays a huge role in the economic growth of the nation. This program has increased the amount of Bumiputra involvement in business and commerce significantly. The rapid development of infrastructure as well as the comfort of consumers has been the biggest goal in undertaking this policy. The main benefit of this policy is that the government is able to reduce the expense of having to manage the country. This will ensure that the financial burden of a country would not be a reason to not carry out development projects that would be essential to the growth of the nation. Malaysia would be an exemplary nation to the neighboring countries by showing the proper way of efficiently and effectively governing a nation. The growth of the country, mainly in terms of the public transport efficiency and infrastructural development, will be surely an example for all other nations out there. Thank you very much.